again, this will be the Audit Government Efficiency Committee meeting for Tuesday, October 9th. Councilmember Zion chairing and the member here. So let's take number 1, 2, and 3. Mr. Clerk.
Item number 1, Controller Report relative to the Controller's follow-up audit of the energy conservation measures in the city, formerly Council File 081442. Item 2 is Controller Report relative to fiscal year 2010-11 audit observations and recommendations made by the external auditor during the financial statements audit and related matters. And item 3, Controller Report relative to the fiscal year 2009-10 report on the application of agreed upon procedures related to Article 13B appropriation limit calculation.
All right, so let's start with the energy conservation measures in the city. Who's here for that? GSD. Don't be shy. You from GSD, ma'am?
Hello, Councilman Member Zion. I'm Kelly Cooper, the Acting Director of the Building Maintenance Division for General Services.
Okay.
And a few months ago, Tony Royster, our General Manager, submitted the last 2 outstanding issues to the Controller, and it was accepted, so the audit's final.
So it looks like the Controller advises that all recommendations have been implemented, so the department's implemented all of the requirements. $10 million revolving loan. DP, 202 energy retrofit projects. 500 city buildings with decreased energy uses 20%. DP has suspended this program as a result of lack of funding. So what is our savings? They've implemented what was requested, but how are we doing with savings on energy?
You're talking about the second.
Since we made the changes, we should be saving money, and
I beg your pardon?
since we did the changes, we should be saving money
Yes,
and with energy efficiency.
Right. We've implemented. We've done retrofits in altogether 274 buildings so far. But the audit is only about the ones that were funded by the DWP.
No, I understand that, but how much
Okay.
have we saved in energy costs? That's the question.
Well,
'cause
we estimated annual savings is $1.7 million.
Estimated annual
Yeah,
savings.
since the beginning of the program.
And that program started back in 1999.
Right.
That's when they got the 10 million revolving loan.
Right, and since in the last year we've been benchmarking the buildings in Energy Star, so we're going to have a mechanism for measuring the actual savings. Based on the utility bills, we have been saving the money.
So the savings per year in dollars?
Oh, I'm not sure what it is per year, it's just as the total amount.
Okay, the total again is what?
Yeah, that's what the total estimated were based on the technical proposals that we submitted.
No, but I know, but then the actuality, and we look at the bill, there's the projected, but in the reality, what did we actually save? That's the question. You know,
Right.
projected to save such and such because of the technology and the innovation,
Right.
but when it comes down to the bottom line, how much did we save?
I don't
And we
have-
spent $10 million, and what are we saving? That's the question I have.
Okay,
You have that?
I don't have that handy with me.
Okay, well, we need that answer.
Okay.
So the DWP funding is no longer available. GSD has looked at other sources of funds. How much has the department been able to secure from other sources? Are there any other sources they've been able to obtain
Right,
funds?
since the DWP loans were suspended in 2010, and
Yep.
since then we've had a couple of California Energy Commission loans,
Okay,
and we've been funded with the EECBG, which was the ARA grant funding. We did 33 buildings with the ARA grant. We're in the process of doing 52 buildings with the QECB, which the ARA leveraged. And we did 154 facilities with the DWP loans and 35 with the California Energy Commission loans.
okay. So we're getting, but the bottom line for me, and I'm sure many people, is if we put in $10 million in improvements, what is our savings per year? What's our savings? In other words, if we're changing a light bulb, it's supposed to be energy efficient, and the bill is the same, we haven't saved a dime.
Well, if you change it to a lower wattage, you're saving a bit, but with the way the occupancy of the city buildings, it fluctuates so much so that's been an issue for us, actually measuring savings, even though we know we're lowering the wattage of the lights. If more people come into the buildings, they plug more computers in, and it's all measured off the same meter, it becomes a problem with measuring the savings. That's why, industry-wide, they usually go with the estimated savings.
Yeah, but see, estimating to me is hogwash,
Right.
because I can estimate all kinds of things, but the actual true
No,
number...
I understand it's an issue, although we estimate it off the technical nameplate of the equipment. That's what we're using. Like we know we had a 32-watt lamp and we went to 25-watt, which is what most of the lighting retrofits have been in the city, certainly in the recent years, then we know we're saving those watts.
Yeah, but are we saving on dollars?
What we're doing now, what we've done because this is an issue, and because we want to have the accurate data, we've inputted our buildings into Energy Star, which is a Department of Energy database, where we've inputted 12 months of energy bills, and to benchmark the buildings so we can monitor the actual usage of the buildings. We're also, as part of this QECB program, We've partnered with the County of Los Angeles. They have this EMA system, which is an energy monitoring system, and we're putting it into several of our, like 20-something of our buildings, and so that we can get real-time data. So then we can go in, once it's up and running, we can see every day where we're at with the buildings.
Well, like
So
in
we
this
do
room,
have
for
to-
example, when this room is not in use, the lights should be off. If the lights are on,
Right.
when it's not in use, and the lights are on the weekends, and they've got signs all over the place, turn your lights off, don't plug things in if you don't use it, try and be energy conscious and energy efficient. So the bottom line for me is, we can spend $10 million on doing improvements, but what does it come down to? A cost savings, because the cost savings is what we're looking for. And this estimate, to me, it's like you buy a car, estimated 16 and 25, and you're getting 13 and 18. The estimate is one thing, but then there's the reality.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking for, is the reality of what we're actually saving. Let me ask you some more questions here. How has the department overcome its challenges in the energy conservation program noted by the Controller's Office to finish some of the energy conservation projects?
Right.
The Controller's Office reflected on that, finished some of the energy conservation projects.
Right, and that's where we've been, because the DWP loans were suspended, then we went with California Energy Commission, which was actually half the cost of 3% as opposed to the 6-something of the DWP loans.
DWP was 6%?
Yeah, that's what we're paying.
Not a very good loan.
6.7 on some of the loans.
Not a very good loan.
No,
How many city facilities still need to be retrofitted? What's the timeline to get all facilities done?
well, that depends on the funding. We've got total about 472, almost 500 sites to do, and we've done about 274. Well, some of those are in process.
Wait, give me that number again. 500 to be done?
472 sites is approximately, that's the number of sites that we have that General Services maintain.
472 are done?
No, that's how
Yet to
many
be
sites
done.
we maintain. We've done, or in the process of doing, 274.
Okay,
Some of those are with the bond and they're still in the process. That takes us through into next year.
okay. And how often does the department do facility audits to ensure the savings is being achieved? How often do they audit to make sure there's a savings? This estimate doesn't really make it for me. So how often do they do actual numbers?
Well,
Or do they?
we do it periodically for reports, but we'll get that information to you.
Okay, and with the DWP power rate just approved, will funding be available again through DWP as part of the loan program, since they're jacking the rates up 11%, which I voted no on, but it did pass, they are increasing the rates for the consumer. Is that going to make more money available at a better rate? 6% is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. Their argument is they have to offer the same rates to the city that they offer to other customers. because we've tried to get interest-free loans from that so that we could implement these retrofits, but
I mean,
they,
if you could draw 6% on your savings, you'd be a,
right. Well, they
Wealthy
figure
person.
on those, the way their loans were set up, you had to save 11 to 15% and to have a payback of 10 years. So that's when we did the technical proposal, would estimate the energy savings and if we'd get the savings back in 10 years. So
we're
otherwise
paying-
they wouldn't fund the loans.
but with the rate going up, are they going to now give us loans again, do you know?
I don't know. We haven't, we're not in the
Well, see, if
process.
they're going to give us loans at 6%, I'd say thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
I mean, to
Well,
have a
that's what
loan,
we've done, and that's why we went to California Energy Commission. It's General Services Construction Division has applied and received, I think now it's 2 loan bundles from the California Energy Commission at 3%. And they went there.
3% versus over 6.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, what is GSD doing to prepare for changes in technology for energy conservation? For example, LED is becoming more popular, becoming less expensive. What does GSD plan here to integrate this type of technology or evolve so we can achieve maximum savings? So the question is, what are they doing in technology and energy conservation?
But
the
that's
future.
where we're using the energy system that the county has. It's called the EMA system, and that's hardwired into the main meter, the meter of the buildings to measure the energy consumption, and I think it reports every 15 minutes. And
Okay,
we also are using the Department of Energy database, Energy Star Portfolio, which gives a building, you have to feed a lot of information into the database, and it gives you an Energy Star rating. And it also tracks the the monthly energy usage in the building gets put into that. And it would be much easier for us if we could get the DWP to automatically update their information into Energy Star Portfolio. Edison does it. The gas company does it, so we're able, so we can constantly see, but we have to do it by hand.
why won't water and power do it?
They have issues with it, I'm not sure. They haven't been able to do it technically. I don't
question.
quite know why.
Okay,
But
and
if they
then,
could do that, then it would make it so much easier for us to monitor. Because it takes a lot of staff time to input all this data. We have to get the bills, which are always,
and they have it. Water and power has it.
yeah, it's just not going into Energy Star.
Okay, we need to look into that.
Okay.
And then what other energy conservation measures is the department undertaking? For example, solar. I know that many schools are putting solar panels on top of parking lots,
Right.
LA Unified. Are we looking into
We
solar?
have a solar project that we did at Barnsdale Park, but we haven't done any others recently. But Construction Division is looking into doing one. But we haven't explored that fully yet.
So there's a lot of rebates that are being provided
Right.
for solar.
We've done a lot of HVAC replacements to Energy Star rated equipment. So we're saving a lot of energy on our HVAC. We're changing out the old inefficient systems. And we're putting a lot of LED lights and in some places induction lights in some of the parking lots. The mall area over here has got a lot of LED lights throughout the mall. And if you go into the back corridors, you'll see induction lighting. We're saving a lot of energy there.
But when
That
we
was
can
all
do-
done under the grant.
When we can do solar, that generates electricity and cuts costs. We should look into solar over parking lots or solar as they're doing. I mean, LA Unified is a very aggressive program to generate coverage for the cars, at the same time generate electricity.
Right.
So that's something that we should look, and there's a lot of rebates with solar, a lot of rebates. Does the department have a long-term plan, conservation energy in place or in development? Long-term conservation energy plan,
Well,
other than what we've heard today?
Well, right now, we've got funding through the end of 2014 with the QECB funding. There's another possible issuance of QECB where we can continue the funding. It's basically a funding issue because it takes a lot of resources to do this work. So if we can identify funding going into the future, we certainly have got the know-how to do it.
Well, we got the funding, but then the programs, do we have the programs?
Yeah, we have a staff that is running the grant and QECB program
No, I understand
within
that,
General
but
Services.
conservation energy plan in place or in development, broad spectrum. Not just going along the same lines, but something broader in scope.
Broader than just general services? Through the whole city?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Well, they should look into that, because energy,
That was something that was going to be, that I think the original recommendation by North Star when they did their original assessment prior to the controller's energy audit recommended that there be a citywide plan, but right now we just have the ability to handle what general services has purview over. We don't have any say in what they do at the airports or ports or the convention center or rec and parks.
and then with the buildings, I know we lease buildings in addition to the city's ownership of buildings.
Right.
On the buildings that we lease, is there any requirement for the landowner, the property owner, to do anything to enhance energy?
I don't know. There might be on some of the leases, but I don't have that information.
Okay. Well, I don't feel like noting and filing this, to be honest with you.
I beg your pardon?
I don't feel like noting and filing this. I think we still have unresolved questions
Okay. So
that need to be answered.
You'd like to know how much energy that we've saved since the beginning of the program? It still might
Yep.
end up being an estimate because...
There's like 9 questions here, and what I will have my deputy, Adrian, go over with you. So we're going to continue this to the next meeting so we can
Okay.
get these specific answers.
Okay.
I think the controller is satisfied that the department's done something that was requested, but I'm looking at a broader focus. And if we're spending $10 million and 6% plus interest is ridiculous when we can get it for a much lower rate. Because whatever savings, we're going to be paying that to Water and Power as their interest profit. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. If we're going
I know,
to
it doesn't.
we're going to save $5 and spend $6, well, we're going backwards.
Well, we estimated that we would end up getting payback on the loan after a certain, within the 10 years. That was estimated. But I agree with you. I don't think the city should be paying DWP to borrow money. I think it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But
And the estimates, we need some real numbers. The controller representative, did you folks ever look into real numbers?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Do you ever do that?
It was part of our recommendation to have a study, and I think the mayor commissioned a study.
Was it ever done?
Yes.
What happened with that? Simpson and Simpson? We didn't do that one. Put that one on somebody else. So we need to look into this a little more,
Well, we'll see
because,
what we can come up with. We're going back quite a ways. We can certainly do it for the buildings that we've done in the last couple of years. That won't be an issue because we've
Right.
got all the data put into energy stuff, so we can certainly tell you that information.
and then we need to also find out why Water and Power is not giving you the numbers you need, so you don't have to do it by hand tally. We need to look into that. So, because they have to answer, they have a commission, they are somewhat independent, but they are part of the city of Los Angeles. So they need to be a little more cooperative. And to have you folks go through this laborsome task doesn't really make sense. They can just push the button and get the
If you could
information.
make that happen, that'd be fantastic. Then that could be a great source of funding for us. We could just go.
Yeah. So they're charging us interest and not being cooperative,
Charge us interest in what?
and not being cooperative.
No, they're being cooperative. They're giving us the money.
No, but why won't they give us that information?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about, not being cooperative. And they're giving us money at an interest rate that's unheard of.
Giving is, I'm giving.
Borrowing, yeah,
Right.
borrowing.
Yeah, I
I mean,
know.
if you could get 6% interest on your savings today, that'd be phenomenal.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, I know an institution is given 1%. People say, wow, 1%. I mean, we used to laugh at 1%. But then,
Believe me, we've gone back to them and asked about that. So,
well, let's continue this, and you get together with Adrian, my representative, and we'll get some of those other answers, and then we'll bring this back to the next meeting.
okay.
Mr. Clerk, got that? Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. Number 2,
Item 2, controller report relative to the fiscal year 2010-11 audit observations and recommendations made by the external auditor during the financial statements audit and related matters.
and there is the famous musical group.
Yes, we're back again.
All right, so you did an audit. Why don't you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Okay. My name is Brainerd Simpson. I'm the engagement partner for the audit of the city's financial statements. I have with me our field partner, Grace Ewing, who was deeply involved in the audit process.
In other words, she did the work for you.
She did most of the work for me.
See, I get right to the punch.
And Matthias Farfan with the Office of the Controller.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start with the controllers. Go ahead.
State law requires that the city annually calculate an appropriation limit, and that's submitted through Budget and Finance Committee annually. But state law also requires that as part of the annual audit of the city's financial statements, that a review be performed on the actual calculation that was performed. So that's the review that was performed by Simpson & Simpson, and that's the report before you.
Okay, and then there's 10 recommendations that have been implemented or partially implemented. Do you have a record of those?
Oh, this one has to do, that's the item 3.
Oh, they
I
got this
believe-
listed under 2.
We're on item 2.
Item number 2.
Is for the,
We're on item number
10 recommendations.
oh,
that-
for the,
are we in the
I'm
wrong-
sorry, I'm the one that's confused.
All right, you're the wrong page.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong page.
All right.
But yes, this is the audit observations and recommendations. Yes, there was 9 observations for 1011,
Okay.
I believe. And those are listed in the report. And this is pretty much audits and observations from their completed audit of the 1011 fiscal year financial statements. And they pretty much list observations and recommendations having to do with the city's internal controls. And also, they will sometimes provide recommendations that can lead to efficiencies as well. The report before you has the recommendations that are pertaining to fiscal year 1011. It additionally includes updates on the observations that they performed for prior fiscal years. So you can see those in the report as well, that it'll include an update on observations and recommendations that they've made in prior fiscal years and what the status is regarding those recommendations.
Have they all been implemented?
For not, the ones for the 9-10, for the 10-11, the 9 observations included in the report, there will be an update on those with the new report that'll be coming out later on this fiscal year. Regarding the 9-10, there's 13 were listed, and only 1 was not implemented, but the other 12 are either fully implemented or partially implemented. For the 08-09 fiscal year, that one, there was still 9 items that were listed there, of which 5 are still not implemented, and those have to do with the cap rates.
What's the problem with the non-implementation?
Sometimes on those, it just, on the ones for the 08-09, those dealt with the way the city records its expenditures in regards to allocating the costs for the cost allocation plan. And we're hoping with the implementation of the new financial management system that now we do have a tool to start tracking some of those items at the level of detail required by the federal auditors to accept the way we allocate our costs in order to be reimbursed for those. And as far as 0203, there was only 1 item left on that one, and that one's been implemented as well.
Mr. Simpson?
Yes, I would just like to point out that these represent our observations and recommendations based upon our review of certain accounting functions within the city in connection with our audit. They do not represent what we consider material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, but we believe that implementing these will improve the internal controls around those areas. Now, for the current year, we did make 9 recommendations. Management and the departments agreed with all of our recommendations, and they concur with our findings. We consider none of these to be of any material weakness or significant deficiency.
Just process.
Various processes, approval processes, maintaining appropriate documentation, and just following through on some of the processes that are in place, such as capitalizing costs and computing allowances for doubtful accounts based on a citywide policy rather than departmental estimates and those type of things. And we have made recommendations as it relate to those, and we believe it would improve the processes.
Okay. Ma'am? You did all the work.
Yes, I
There you
did
go.
with my team.
Your team.
Yeah.
They were pushing you forward to say, get it done, get it done. So what's your observation on it?
One thing that I included in our prior year is the investment committee. And I think that one is still not being implemented yet. And I think it is quite important that the committee convene to like monitor like the investment performance. So that is one of the observations that hasn't.
Can you speak louder, or put the microphone closer?
It hasn't been implemented yet. That one.
What's the delay on that?
That one had dealt with the prior treasurer. It's the IAC, which is the Investment Advisory Committee, which she formed a group to come together and review the city's investment policy, or the treasurer's investment policy. But that required, there was some work that was required to update the ordinance to make that official of the way that that committee was supposed to work. I believe the ordinance has been approved already, but now we've consolidated the treasurer with finance, so now we have a new treasurer. So I know they're working on it. I'm hoping that would, I know we've been contacted by them as well, so I'm hoping we will have something to report on that in the following report that will say that we have implemented it and that the committee is now meeting, quarterly or twice a year or whatever that.
Who appoints the committee?
I believe it's the treasurer, but I would have to go, I could come back and let you know. I could.
Yeah, let Adrian know, because we want to know what's
Okay.
happening with that, because then obviously investment is very important. Keep the
Okay.
city and keep your salary coming.
Yes.
Everybody smiles about that one. Okay, anything in closing?
Yeah, one last other comment too. In 2010, we also made a recommendation that the city establish an information security administration. And IT has completed a service contract to begin this process.
Okay.
We think that's very important that takes place. I think the elements that may affect the implementation of this is primarily resources, city resources. But we think that it's really important that the city establish an information security administration. And that was our first recommendation in 2010.
Okay. And they're still working on
They're
that,
still working on that, yes.
because that's critical as we go down the line with all types of security issues with technology. Okay, thank you all, and we're going to note and file, recommendation for note and file on number 2. And let's jump over to number 3.
Item number 3, Controller Report relative to the fiscal year 2009-10 report on the application of agreed-upon procedures related to Article 13B appropriation limit calculation.
And this is the one
Go ahead, identify yourself again for the record.
and again, this.
No,
this
identify yourself again for the record.
Matthias Farfan with the Office of the Controller.
Thank you.
Again, this is, it's required by the state that the city calculate an appropriation limit annually. The state law also requires that there be a review performed on the calculation that was performed by the city as part of the annual financial audit.
The state makes a lot of mandates, a lot of requirements, but they don't give us any money to do anything. You ever notice that?
Yes.
It's like you always tell me to do something, but there's no appropriation to go along with it. See, even a VOC knows that one. So this one is a state mandate, the Constitution of the state of California. And are we in line with what we're supposed to be?
Yes, you're in compliance with the appropriation limitation, yes.
Okay. Do you do audits for the state at all?
No.
You don't? But you like to get paid or something?
We're there in Sacramento, and we.
Oh, yeah. They're having some problems up there. Yeah, God knows they're having problems up there. So this looks like we're in compliance with what the state requires us to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No other issues on this?
No.
We're all happy with this one, huh? The 3 is the easy one. Okay. Looks like there's a lot of commas in those numbers. When you look at that number, 4, comma, 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 kind of like the national debt there. Okay, so we're going to note and file number 3. We're in compliance, which is good. Mr. Clerk, anything else?
Nothing else, no public speaker cards.
All right, that's it. We are now completed at this wonderful hour of 2:30.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.